Okay, hello everyone. Welcome into the PHNX Rising post-game show. Phoenix Rising with a 2-0 loss away to Orange County SC. Phoenix Rising giving up 2 first-half goals. Really just a poor performance overall. I mean, we saw a very much lack of attacking firepower. Certainly nothing replicating Saturday's matchup. And the defense fortunately let this team down with 2 goals. Again, one coming from a set piece. Poor fouls, poor decisions. Listen, we're coming to you live from both respectively dark places, but this team might be in a little bit of a dark place after tonight's matchup. I am Max Simpson, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Owain, the Oracle Evans. Owain, safe to say, not a good performance, to put it lightly.
Yeah, that was not a good Phoenix Rising performance whatsoever. I mean, you put it very lightly when you said that was a not a good Phoenix Rising performance. I think what we saw overall tonight was a team that came out, was outplayed, was outcoached, was out, quite frankly, everything. And if they continue to play like that, they will find themselves out of the playoffs. Okay, this was a big match. They came in with a need to, after the win on the weekend, frankly, a draw probably would have been sufficient tonight to keep things ticking over. I know we all said the win was important, and the win would have been important, right? But a draw would have kept things ticking at least. You wouldn't have lost any ground versus Orange County. You'd have been in a better position than you'd have been in tonight, in general, against everybody else. Look, this team at large, I don't think they knew what to expect from Orange County. They definitely couldn't deal very well with transitional moments. I think defensively, Rising couldn't find a great number of ways to break them down, at least not the way that they started. You look at the first half, 3 shots in the first half, a 60-odd% possession. That's a recipe for disaster. And quite frankly,
we won possession FC. Let's go.
It is, right? We've seen that how many times? How many times does that come up? And it comes down from the fact that the team felt in a lot of ways as though the only thing they really had going for them in the first half was the fact that Jearl Margaritha knew how to run at players. That was about it. No one was finding ways to get into space to give him a target once he'd run past the player that he was getting past. And so you ended up with a man on the byline, kind of looking to play the ball to someone with the ball at his feet there, and not really having a great number of good options. None of them managed to lose their defenders particularly well. We saw a team that I think was often far too willing to accept the fact that the game was going to be slowed down a little bit, which, again, never suits this team. This team, for all the talk of wanting them to be a possession side at times, this team doesn't know how to possess the ball in a meaningful manner. And I don't think they've shown a particularly good approach to that for the entire season. Once again, the entire season. This isn't anything new, right? It's just honestly, I said this on the weekend. I said this on Tuesday as well. Yeah, yesterday. Apparently, it feels like a lot more time has passed.
Oh wow! Yeah,
it aged me several years. But at the same time, for all of the good that happened on the weekend, for all of the positivity, for all of the big results that you had there, for all of the progress of the look, maybe we finally fixed this. A bad result here was going to immediately plunge the vibes back into the toilet. Where are they right now, Mr. Simpson?
I'm gonna guess, dude. You might be in like a janitor's closet. They might be in the room that you're in.
This is what normally happens, right? This is.
I guess so. Yeah.
With the exception of when Max came and we kind of did the little setup outdoors. Normally, what happens is I sit here in the dark and you hear people like disassembling stuff around me.
Yeah. You know it's bad when
some of the hope, perhaps at this point.
You know it's bad when my dungeon, by comparison, looks like a nice, bright safe haven compared to where you're at. Yeah. But I mean, listen,
I will say, by the way, can I add this one in before? Just for a little bit of context, we will play the full Diego Gomez post-game interview later on in the show, so you will get that in full. It is a short one. It is probably the most cagey interview that I've done with Diego. I think it's pretty obvious that this was a bad result to everyone involved. After the conclusion of said interview, I did witness the coaching staff and the full coaching staff on the field speaking with club president Bobby Dooley and Rising Sporting Director Brandon McCarthy, both of whom made the trip out here to Irvine for this game. So just to add that there, I mean, look, there were a lot of things here. We can talk about the emotion. We can talk about the match. I don't think we really want to talk about the match, but we're gonna have to.
We're gonna, and we are gonna have to. That's why we're here. Listen, there's definitely the emotional component. I think we're gonna weave that in a bit throughout tonight's post game, and I think probably save a little bit of time at the end, knowing that there's the implications, what this means for playoffs, what this matchup was against Danny Stone. There's a lot of different ways that we will kind of dissect further. We're looking at this from a tactical, from a game perspective, right? And by the way, before I get into, I do want to shout out everyone in the chat. Y'all are crushing it. John McPherson, Goleman, Pat, Siley, McSquared, BJ, Devnall, Zanel, Siley, everyone. Marlon, appreciate you guys joining us. Even Devnall, Benitez, Bluebird, you guys are great. Keep on chucking those opinions. There are a lot of people passionate, a lot of people calling for heads. This is listen, it's what a difference 3 days makes. Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days. Okay, yeah, that's kind of where we're at, right? You're kind of speaking of the 4 days difference, right? Kind of some people asking here, right? Why change the lineup? Kind of looking at things. We noted there were 3 changes, right? Mo Traore out and Alejandro Frenmayor in, and Equajo out, Gabby Torres in for him. Both of those, right? I think they do give you something a little bit different, but to me, it's like, okay, I think guys who may be a bit more solidly defensively solid in those aspects, maybe you do give up a little bit offensively with those, but I don't think it's a major difference. What was the big one, and we kind of noted, this is Charlie Dennis out, Jose Andres Hernandez in. Again, it's no shout to Jose Andres Hernandez. He just gives you a very different profile.
Can I drop you a spoiler?
Please.
I'm going to drop you a spoiler before we even get into this now. This one coming from the post-game interview. Effectively, Diego hinting that he has faith in Jose and he'd do it again.
Okay. Yeah, that's a choice for sure. I mean, again, there's no slight to Jose Andres Hernandez. I think he plays a role, and I think he plays it well. I don't think this role was what was needed for this game. I think
not at all.
I think this is right. This was going to be, in a way, this game could have been a shootout, right? Say what you want, say whether or not Rising's players were going to get up for this match anymore. But I think very much you kind of saw it, especially after the goals, that the OC players absolutely got up for this match. They were gunning. They were very much running hard for this one. And I think you needed not just a bit more beef in the midfield, but someone who can play and try a little bit to break through what Orange County was doing. They were putting a lot of guys in the midfield. And really what they were doing was it kind of was working the Rising's favor in pieces, but ultimately did not net them anything. Is Orange County throughout the entire match was saying, you are not going to play through us through the midfield. We saw what you did against San Antonio. You are not going to play through these channels. You must switch it, and you're going to have to beat us with getting the ball essentially in isolation, having overloads, and trying to beat us with Jearl Margaritha. And you know what? There were points where it did work. He got him behind. He actually was, without a doubt, their most offensive player, but that's just it. When that was the only option you had, you saw it by the second half, way less effective, and they kind of just ground him out.
I think typically the thing about Jearl in this game, though, is you have to remember that he was getting past players. Yes, he was taking them on. He was doing well in those moments, but he was getting past those players, getting them to the byline. Okay, it wasn't like he was beating a man and he was 5 yards before he was even going to get to the penalty area. Okay, that's not what was happening here. He was being forced out to the byline in those wider areas, and in those moments, he cannot do it alone. He cannot do it alone. And
Yeah.
was the support there for him? Were the right runs being made? Were other players getting in the right position so that when he could then look to play the ball in, someone was going to get on the end of it? I feel as though far too often they weren't, especially in that first half. That first half was dire. Things changed up a little bit in the second half, but you end up with more attack-minded players on the field. So to an extent, it probably is. And also at that point, Orange County were 2-0 up. So they're going to accept maybe a little bit more pressure.
Yeah. Going on Pat Saturday was fool's gold. It definitely felt a lot different. I mean, right? Jearl, right? I think getting in those positions, I don't think that's a bad thing. I understand, right? You maybe want him a bit more trying to go directly towards goal than the end line. But to be fair, this is where the system, in theory, could work. He just, the service could have been a lot better on his end. Then to your point, B, could need help. And there were guys who just maybe weren't making those runs. But if we're even kind of looking a little bit further, or a little bit earlier, right? This game, and I'm not going to say this was the game by any means. I will very much caveat it with that. But it was very notable that about 68 seconds in, Jose Andres Hernandez, again, in for Charlie Dennis in the starting lineup, yellow card early on. And boy, oh boy, if that wasn't a kind of a sign, a complexion of how this game was, 8 total cards, 31 total fouls. And what do we see, right, in the, 7th or 8th minute? A very, I wouldn't even say reckless, I would say just not needed challenge by Darius Formella at the edge of the penalty box. Just didn't need to be there. He was already having guys drawn in to help. Commits the foul at the edge of the box. And what do you know? Little free kick. Rising can't defend it. And Orange County's up 1-0.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Max. I was listening to you, but at the same time, I just kind of, and I'm on the, you know how this is set up. So for people who don't know, right, here at Orange County. So if you are kind of in the main stand area, or if you're in the top level, right, so that's where the press box kind of area is. That's where I am right now. If you are lower down, obviously they have like the concourse level is the next one down, and then below that is where the locker rooms are. The lift just came up, and a certain Phoenix Rising player carrying food just kind of stuck his head out and then went back in the lift.
There you go.
That was my distraction.
Yeah, we did. I think we did this at the balcony.
To your point on discipline,
on the balcony, right, during playoffs, right?
We did before, but I'm inside at the moment.
Yeah, you are.
To your comments about discipline and all of that side of things, here's what I'll say. Jose Andres Hernandez could have walked right before he was subbed off. He could have picked up a second yellow card at that
yeah.
You look at other moments in there as well. I feel as though just rising players overall committing. I mean, Lawrence White commits to a bad challenge towards the latter half of the end of the first half, right? Picks up a yellow card, pretty needless, to be frank, right? And Lawrence White off the field has always come across as a very, very nice guy. I would never question that whatsoever. We do see, I think, that he loses his head a little bit on the field, right? He needs to rein that in. This isn't the first time we've seen that this season. He needs to rein that in. Now, the big one, and again, we'll get more from this. We'll get Diego Gomez's view on it. I know who you want. You kind of, if we're going to talk discipline, where we got to point this to.
Yep. Let's do it.
Jearl Margaritha. Max, for you, yellow or red?
Oh, that works.
You'd go red. It's pink more. Does that have brands on it, Max?
No. That's again, when I do it, it's prospecting. It's no free access.
Okay.
Listen, you have seen that move, and you've seen that happen so many times in other matches, and it's overwhelmingly that type of action where it wasn't within the course of action, where it was a direct response to something that is not happening during play. To me, you have seen that be a red. The amazing thing is the fact that I think he's almost bailed out by the fact that the ref has already kind of gotten card happy and already kind of gotten foul happy early in the game, that even if it shouldn't be interdependent of that, I feel the ref's like, all right, I can't completely lose this game. Here's a yellow for you. That's kind of my
it goes beyond that. Here's what I'll say on JC Griggs, the referee tonight. I feel as though what we witnessed was, look, in terms of can you go yellow, can you go red on that one? You can go either way. I feel as though you can make an argument for either direction. There are referees in this league who I am 99% certain would have sent him off for that. I do feel as though it is severe escalation on everything else that happened in that confrontation and that spell, which is why I feel that a yellow card apiece, which is what he went with that, doesn't really work. Doesn't really work because you leave one side feeling really hard done by because the yellow cards are so different from each other in terms of
Very
what
much
was
so.
done to actually earn them. I will say the sheer amount of force in that, I don't know how well it comes across on TV. I don't know all of that. I do know that I was standing relatively close to it when it happened, and the force on that felt quite a lot, to be honest. It wouldn't have shocked me if he'd pulled out the card. I do think more broadly, though, JC Griggs today, I up until that point, there were maybe little bits of questions, but I feel like most of the concern from players, and you could hear a lot of the players talking and shouting and all of that. You could hear a lot of that on the field today. Was kind of centering around offside, but after that point, I mean,
Sure.
I feel as though overall, Griggs' foul selection tonight was incredibly inconsistent. And it was inconsistent in a way that went beyond just the usual levels of inconsistency, whereby maybe, you take the safer option. The safer option normally being you're going to give it to the defending team, okay? Why? Because the attacking team moan at you for 10 seconds, whereas if the ball goes in the back of the net and you should have given a free kick, the other team, you've lost them completely. But that wasn't what we saw. We saw just wildly inconsistent foul selection, I think, at times. And I mean, you see BJ's comment there, and no way USL ref was inconsistent, shocking. But no, these are kind of things, though, that a lot of people look. Fans will always take those views, and there will always be a few things that are missed or not missed. Okay, a lot of the times people will point to inconsistency, and it's just quite frankly that they're going to miss a couple of things. Anyone would. The very nature of running 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles is that you're not going to perceive everything around you perfectly. But that isn't what I saw. And again, I'd also argue the control side of things. I don't think that he lost control early doors. I don't think he did at all. I know Max, you tweeted that at me. I think that's a very fan response. I don't think it's a very analytical response there in terms of whether he lost it. He didn't. The players, by and large, were on side. The only gripes I heard, genuinely, and bear in mind, I can hear the players, okay? The only gripes I was hearing were about offside decisions. That's not losing players. Okay, you had some tasty language from the Orange County back line to the assistant referee there. But that was predominantly about offside decisions. Afterwards, things got a lot messier. And again, it's maybe if he'd have managed the situation with Jearl a little bit better, maybe if it had come across a bit harder, as though he was really kind of, at the end of the day, laying down the law a bit with Jearl there, whatever card he chooses to go with. And again, you can make justifications for either. Maybe that helped. But in the second half, it was clear that certain players had lost respect. You end up with a dissent yellow card. Whenever you get a dissent yellow card, that's a perfect example that things are going.
All right, so listen, man, even if he didn't lose the game within the first minute or anything like that, I think it's an accumulation. You're kind of saying yourself that by the end he did. It starts with a yellow card within the first minute. You can escalate that.
No, because I don't see the yellow card in the first minute. To me, is a classic example of where people go, well, you don't want a card that early, but that can work. Sometimes that works. The problem with it is that down the line, well, it put Jose Hernandez in a really awkward position for the entirety of the game. And if he deserved the yellow card, he deserved the yellow card. You don't.
I don't know if he did. That's
Talk
what I'm
to
saying. If you take the incident by itself, is it a foul? Absolutely. Is it maybe not a good one? Sure, but that is incredibly harsh. You're even seeing the gesturing on the field. That's his first foul of the match.
Doesn't matter. First foul, that stuff is irrelevant to whether something is reckless or careless. That is completely irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
I still don't think it was. I don't think it was.
Persistent offences is a very specific category of yellow card.
I don't believe
the idea that it's someone's first foul so they can't get something is for a starter. That's not. We're not going down that route. We're not even going down that
even still, I don't believe that was enough to warrant the first yellow card. And you can say what you want, whether it did or didn't.
The problem he had, BJ, and I'll tell you where the problem he had. I see BJ's comment in there about he set a tone, but did he keep that tone? I'll be honest with you about that one. And yeah, we need to get off this topic right now because we're deflecting from the real issue. Okay, we've spoken.
You started it. You started it.
I know. Hernandez stepped on his ankle, not his foot. Yeah, he stepped on his ankle. That's a yellow card.
You can't tell.
That's a yellow card. That is a textbook reckless foul yellow card. But to the point there of he set a tone, but did he keep that tone? I think the issue he had is that again, I think the biggest issue he had is that moment with the Jearl Margaritha incident, whereby he could have gone red or he could have gone yellow, but he didn't handle it well, and that one really set a tone. Then what it does, big flashpoints like that tend to change the tone of the conversation afterwards. Okay, certain things that maybe you get away with, even if your foul selection isn't great beforehand, you may be able to coast through it. But as soon as you have a big flashpoint and you don't deal with it in a way that necessarily players respect, then everything becomes scrutinized a lot more. So to me, it's not really from the first minute. I think it could well be a justifiable yellow card in the early doors. Again, I haven't seen all the footage back, so I can't tell you. But it's realistically, it's that moment. It's dealing with that moment and coming out of that, I think, that sets the tone thereafter.
Yeah, that's fair. If the yellow card in the first minute was all there was, sure, fine. I don't like it, and we have different opinions on this. Fine. Yeah, I think that at that moment is it. And I think if you're looking at that moment down the line in retrospect with the yellow card, you can paint the narrative. There it is. That's where I land on. But listen, right, the rest of the match, kind of a slog, right? Orange County, they scored their second and kind of just ran with things. They had the better ball movement. The second half, honestly, it was a wash all around. Rising really didn't have a ton of chances. First half was pretty much where all the action was. When we get back on the other side of the break, we're going to be talking a little bit more about individual players, go over the numbers in general, hit some stats with you guys because we got to turn the stats. But first, talk about our friends over at Branded Bills. Hold that thought, Owen. Hold that thought. Here.
Is he getting a hat?
Here we go. Branded Bills. Branded Bills, baby. We're looking good. They got the Sparky on the Arizona State
flag. What color is that? Just to be clear. Color is that?
Color is that? Little
yeah,
copper,
what color is it?
A little copper emblem on a little what do you call that? Beige, a little beige, hello off-white, if you will. Yes, Branded Bills. Check them out. BrandedBills.com. Use promo code PHNX to save 20% off your first order. They got hats like this. They got U of A hats. They got Arizona, the state flag of Arizona. They have those hats on there as well. They got trucker hats, fitted hats, little rope hats, all different types of fun stuff over there. All different colors. You can do custom orders, do bulk orders. You can do stuff for like staff outings, group outings, order some for your work. Again, BrandedBills.com, promo code PHNX, save 20% off your first order with promo code PHNX. Love our friends at Branded Bills. It's a great fit. Don't lose your head like the players did today. BrandedBills.com. There you go. Owen loves that one. Also, make sure to check out our friends at Circle K. Circle K, back to K around here. Any Polar Pop, little 79-cent with the Polar Pop or Froster anywhere in the valley, anywhere in Arizona, darn near anywhere in the world, in the planet, maybe the solar system, the galaxy, anywhere you need to go. Check them out. Circle K. You got the great stuff. I went in there again. I filled up on gas. I saved that money. Being an Inner Circle member, I saved 5 cents per gallon, just because all I do, just sign up. It's free. It's that darn easy to do. Check out Circle K, their Inner Circle program. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Again, all throughout the valley. Check them out. Love our friends. We love you, Circle K. Go get a Polar Pop. Wash the cells array with a Polar Pop or a Froster, 79 cents. All right. Let's take a look at some of those numbers presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes, Phoenix Rising, nil, Orange County, SC2, XG for Rising, 0.97, 1.41 for Orange County. Possession FC, hanging in the rafters, as we say. You cannot and you will not beat the allegation. 67% possession for Phoenix Rising, 33% for Orange County. Shots relatively even, 10-13. But, oh boy, and we will say that, the platform we use has been known to kind of be a little finicky on this, but Phoenix Rising 1 shot on target to Orange County's 3. Listen, it was not a great shooting performance or efficiency can't say efficiency. It wasn't great of an on-target percentage for either team. It was not a lot of shots, but here's the thing. Orange County, 3 total shots on goal. They put 2 in the back of the net.
They did. Rising's only shot on target, by the way, came from Charlie Dennis.
The free kick? Oh, gosh. That makes sense.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
2 shots. He took 2 shots. One was a free kick. It was a free kick, yeah.
One I think was blocked outside the box. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. God. No, it was. The other one was blocked. You're right. Yeah.
Well, that's not great. I think this is again one of those where, right, we never want to overly rely on the numbers, and you can kind of paint the picture and narrative to where you will. But I mean, right, you see those. Yes, Rising had more possession. Yes, neither team was super amazing or thrilling in front of goal, but Orange County's chances and their movements were just plain better. And once you have a 2-0 lead, you're playing at home and you're kind of seeing that the other team's not really doing much. Do you want to go for more? Sure, you can. It's kind of what Rising did on Saturday. But you also can kind of just say, we're going to muck it up and kind of play an ugly second half. And that's exactly what you did. Orange County stopped chasing this game in the second half because they, quite frankly, didn't really need to.
They did, but they were also willing to break with numbers in quick moments. Didn't have as
They
much
found, and
success
they
maybe in the
found guys
second half.
quickly. They found guys quickly when they did too. It was very effective.
They knew what they were doing in terms of finding ways to. You're right. They break with numbers again. It was you'd look at it 1 second and think, okay, there's a run being made, and then you look over the other side of the field, and there's 3 guys running up the other touchline, just ready to dart in. And again, it didn't really work as much in the second half, but look, it Rising didn't really. Look, I was having conversations with people here in Orange County, and I'll tell you kind of what they were saying, and this is from people here in OC. The way they were describing it is that Rising would have had no film on this just because this is new. The tactics tonight were new. It was tweaking with stuff that they'd done before. Rising didn't expect this. And ultimately, Rising were predictable. Yeah, the new system is fun and great when it works. But you still have, I think, but you also need the. I don't know. I'll get into it after we listen to Diego Gomez's thoughts later on. But I'll talk about the midfield again later on. I know we've already done it before, but we need to do it again, I think, before we get off this pod. I don't know, Max, if there's anything in particular you really want to hit on before we toss over to Diego Gomez's full post-game interview, not really a press conference, it's just me. But
nah, man, we got some stuff to talk about. Let's not keep the people waiting. Let's go to it.
Okay, so Diego, just coming off of that one, first thoughts?
Oh, of course, disappointed. We lost 2-0. We didn't perform at a good level. Disappointed.
Anything in particular that you take away as probably the reason why this game went the way it did?
I think we need to see on the video and analyze it after.
Going into the game, obviously, you made a few changes in this one. One of the more notable ones, Charlie Dennis dropped for Jose Hernandez. What was the thinking behind that one?
It's a three games week. Jose has been performing well. We thought that we have quality enough on the players that have come from the bench that they can start the game and put a good performance today.
In hindsight, do you think a mistake or no?
I will do it again. I think Jose is a very good soccer player, and I don't think he's the reason that we lost this game.
Also a game that obviously got quite chippy, at least in the first half at times. Looking back on it now, do you think that Jearl was lucky to stay out there or no?
No, it didn't. It was a push, but it wasn't nothing in the face or anything like that. So it was a yellow card for both players. I think the referee made the right call.
Now, when you go back in there in the locker room, what's the message going to be to the boys?
We play on Saturday. We were not good today. We need to make sure that we always play at our top level, because if not in this league, you don't get points.
Has this now made Saturday a must-win fixture?
It was a must-win before. It's still a must-win now.
There's a lot of things we can go into there. Again, I will bring this one out that it is the most cagey, I think. Post-game interview I've had with Diego after a game. Here's one thing I will bring up here, and I'll say this for now with Bandidos, but we're bringing up no point blaming Diego. Only 2 people to blame. We all know who the clowns are, right? We know where the discussion goes, and there's the big picture discussion. There's all of that. Okay, I do think though that tonight there is an element of blame on Diego, and the reason why, largely, I would say that is I think that he genuinely made the wrong call in the midfield. The view that I have on this one is that the partnership of Renzo Zambrano and Jose Hernandez is a failed experiment. It was a failed experiment at the start of this year. It was a failed experiment. We saw moments of just the two of them at times last year. We know that it's not that any individual of those two isn't capable of playing at a decent level. It's that the pairing of the two of them doesn't bring out the best in their abilities to play together. That's the nature of it. They are both two midfielders who, by their nature, are not going to be the most progressive with the ball. Always. Okay? That's just a fact. And it's when you are reliant on both of them to play in a midfield, and you don't necessarily have an obvious look. It worked at times last year when you had Carlos Harvey alongside them. Okay? It didn't work today. It hasn't worked earlier in this season. And while it's understandable that Charlie Dennis, and I understand Diego's points that you can't play for all of the games, I feel as though he has let something go today here. And I'm not sure whether it's a case of caring more about the home game, overstating maybe the home advantage in terms of winnability and the impact that that has on a game, or whether it was a case of, unfortunately, maybe after coming off a big win on the weekend, looking up the table as opposed to looking down. But at the end of the day, this game, because when you lose this game, this becomes the most important game of the two. Okay? It does. It's ended the way it has, I think, in parts because of that decision. I feel as though you saw a substantially better team once Charlie Dennis comes onto the field. It doesn't take much to point out the fact again that the only shot on target was from Charlie Dennis. He had one other shot which was blocked in there as well. I feel as though again that is a large part of this. Now again, there is the big picture. You don't lose sight of the big picture. I completely agree with that. I understand that. And quite frankly, again, a large part of that is because the only reason these games are must-win games are because the big picture and how it went and decisions that were made in the off-season and earlier in the season have left this team in a position now whereby they are genuinely fighting to get a playoff place. But on the night individually, I do think there's also an element of Diego did get the team selection wrong in that way.
Yeah. Gosh, there's even a lot to dissect just from your answer. I would say, okay, let's see. I would say, I think Charlie Dennis's role and what he can do is a very underrated aspect of this team, in that he provides a lot of me in the middle, can play those passes, and I think he does make you a more progressive team. If he is the only one who has a shot on target, I don't really know if that's as much of a, wow, look at Charlie Dennis what can do. I just think that's a horrible execution team-wide. So do I think he got it wrong? Do I think he got it wrong? Yes. Do I think if he makes Charlie Dennis in the midfield to start? I don't know. I don't know if that changes it. I guess this is revisionist. We can play the what-if game. I think the team was so poor overall that even when they were in some semblance of the final third, I don't, you see little bits and pieces here. We won't know. We can never say conclusively whether or not that's going to make the difference.
I will point out here now, and I think this is really important, right? Phoenix Rising was more dangerous, at least in the second half, when they actually got some shots off. In the first half, they had 3 total shots.
I don't disagree. I think this is also, again, I'm not saying that Orange County kind of like stopped caring, but like you're at 2-goal need. We've seen this game before of like, okay, there's going to be one team clearly pushing harder than the other to try to get the game back. So I will say with Renzo and Jose pairing together, they do serve a purpose. That purpose should not be leading off the match together, trying to start a progressive attack. They can salt a game away. They can steady a game, but they are not the ones who, if you are looking to progress, that's not the two you should pair together. And finally, what I will say, and I guess this is kind of taking a look at Renzo Zambrano's role within this club. I actually think that he is where he's grown from last year. I think that actually his progression in both ball carries and passing and really just outlook has actually gotten tremendously better. He has become, I think, honestly, probably one of the more improved players within that category. And I think a lot of kind of where his movement seems to be dictated where he is paired up with. it almost kind of seems like he kind of strays towards whoever he's paired up with and what their movement is. If he's paired with Charlie Dennis, who tends to be a little bit more mean in the midfield, but he's able to be a bit more progressive, it almost gives Renzo in a way license to go forward and to kind of take up more of those spaces. When he's been paired with Jose Andres Hernandez, who is the master of the side-to-side passes and not really those forward-playing balls, you kind of see Renzo almost mirroring that and kind of doing that thing. So I think his role, right, he's his own player, he's the captain, he's doing his thing, but you have almost seen a lot of his role seems to really complement and kind of mirror whoever he is being paired with. So kind of goes back to whether it is going to be Jose Andres Hernandez, if he's going to do it again, says Diego, or if it is going to be Charlie Dennis. You just got to know that I think that's kind of what you're getting out of both midfielders.
Yeah. I mean, again, it comes down to just as you look at this, I think I understand the fact that, again, you may not want to play Charlie Dennis for all 3 games. I'm not going to argue that at all.
Sure.
I get that. But you have to prioritize it in this week. And I've seen the people talking about it in the chat. I do feel as though this was the more winnable game than Vegas on the weekend.
Oh, without a doubt. I don't even think it's close.
Discussion with someone who knows both of these teams reasonably well and said that Rising should probably have the better talent in this team, right? Orange County's whole model relies on playing younger players. They did it today again. They do. This is what they do. They are not a big money team. They do not have a big budget. They do not do all of those things in terms of bringing in star players on massive wages. That doesn't happen here. They put together a team that grinds, that's normally competitive, but they don't put together a flashier team. Now, again, Vegas, it's just working for them right now. However it's working for them, it doesn't really matter. It's working for them right now. And again, I'd also agree with Goalie Man Pat in there. The most important thing, again, you've still got to look below you. You can't be arrogant enough to look above. Okay? I had discussions. I mean, I'm not going to name drop people. I've had discussions with people around, obviously not in the club, but people, fans, or of a media, or of a mix of people. And people will say things like, "Oh, we could do home playoff. We could." No. Stop even thinking about that right now. You aren't even guaranteed to make the playoffs right now. Stop thinking ahead of yourselves. Stop thinking that these things, because when you get into that kind of position, then and you come in and have results like this, good luck. Good luck.
Dear gosh. Yeah, there's a lot more we can say. We need a drink. Kyle, cue it. Do the graphic, Kyle. Do the graphic. We need a drink. Jearl Margaritha. I don't know what this graphic is.
This was going to be man of the match, and
then we had to rename it because we don't award man of the matches during losses. Not what we do. So we're gonna rename it, at least for this time. Jearl Margaritha, listen, Rising did not do well, and honestly, what he did in the final third didn't amount to, well, I would say a lot of tangible shots or even some chances, right? 1 shot, 1 chance created, 7 of 12 successful dribbles, 9 of 16 duels won. But we did have, it was fun to watch him. And I will say that. I will take that away from this match. It's hollow. It does absolutely nothing for the table. But he is fun to watch. You can say what you want. Again, that may mean nothing. I don't care if I get flagged for that. It was entertaining. Watching him dribble, it was cool. Even when he lost it, I'm like, you know what? At least he's trying it. Oh, yeah. At least he's trying stuff. Honestly, and that's more than we can say from a lot of this team for a lot of the season. Boom. Mom McPhee.
My man of the match in this one. I've kind of said this to you before we came on air. It's Danny Stone. It's not on Phoenix Rising side. It's Danny Stone.
Hold that.
Reason for this.
Hold that thought. We're gonna get into that other side of the break. You're gonna hold that, but first we're gonna get into that, and we're gonna talk about Danny Stone, other side of the break. But first, we're gonna tell you guys about our friends over at Valley Tap Room. It's a great place. Go enjoy a beer, to drink yourselves away, to go have multiple Jearl Margaritha. All right, yeah, there we go. Boom. Valley Tap Room. They got 2 locations over at Gilbert and Queen Creek. And what do we do over at the Gilbert location, Mr. Owen Evans?
We watched Spain save football.
That's right. You darn right did. You can do it too, right? Phoenix Rising, they're not saying football, certainly not playing this way, but you can go over to Valley Tap Room, try to say football, with a little beer, with 30 of their beers, with all the different fridges full of, beers. What? Cider, whiskey beer, lager drink, cider drink, all the different stuff. A little Chumbawamba. There you go. Check out Valley Tap Room. We're at Gilbert and Queen Creek, the 2 locations. Check them out online at valleytaproom.com. Of course, follow them on social at Valley Tap Room. All ages welcome. And yeah, go Valley Tap Room. Also, check out our friends over at GoPHNX.com. Owain is one of them. And also, there's a lot of great riders, right? If you guys are a Rising fan, you should go to GoPHNX.com. You're a Suns fan? Go to GoPHNX.com. It's a great place. Great written articles, merch, exclusive diehard memberships you can get there. All kinds of good stuff. We always got events. There's just a lot of great things that you can do over at GoPHNX.com. Check out what we've got going on, supporting us, helping support the show, keeping us up and running. At least Kyle can keep pushing buttons that way. He allows us to be on the air. So yeah, go support Kyle. GoPHNX.com. We appreciate you guys. And do us a favor, hit that like button as well. Chat, you guys are great, by the way. You guys, we cannot forget about you guys. Making all the comments. Mon McP, actually, facial expressions tonight are something. Listen, they're always that way. Everyone who's watched this show enough I'm a pretty expressive human being, and it's kind of how they come across. But I'm sure he's expressive as well, certainly after the goals. And I can imagine after this match, Owen, I will turn back to you. Danny Stone.
All right, so I was going to say here, my man of the match after this one, I feel, is Danny Stone. I'll give you a very simple reasons for this one. When you look at man for man, I think Phoenix Rising has the more talented squad. Phoenix Rising definitely has the better paid squad. And yet tonight, you witnessed the team under Danny Stone come out, execute a game plan, and execute it well, and not really look in doubt. I think as soon as the second went in, I think that was the moment when we all just kind of said, "That's it now, right?" Like, this team has lost tonight.
Cooked.
Cooked. I mean, that's one way of putting it. They came here and they got cooked.
There was no.
We can't use some of the words that are in the chat right now to describe.
No, we can't. That's not trying to be cynical. Again, this is one of those matches where you didn't see anything, any indication that you're gonna come back from 2-0 down. Again, they saw a stat on the broadcast. They saw a stat. There was a stat on the broadcast on. There's been 10 instances where Phoenix Rising this season have conceded the first goal.
They haven't won.
No, they have drawn 3, lost 7, and now they've lost 8. It's not good. It's not good. So now in the chat, we got stoned. That is stonewalled, stoned. Yeah, not great. Not great. I mean, again, listen, this is where we kind of talked about a bit. We asked if emotion was going to be in it, and maybe not from Phoenix Rising side of things, at least from is there motivation to get up, play against your former manager? Maybe not. You can't tell me that Orange County was not up for this game, because my word, their actions sure showed it. Show that way after the goals, during everything like that. You can try to read into it if you want to. You can say that they're professionals, which they absolutely are, but it feels good. It feels good to win one for your manager against his former club, especially how after things happen. Come on, say what you want.
I'm going to add a little bit of context in here that I think is also important here. Phoenix Rising's defense is very good, but I think a lot of people have overhyped quite how far at times a good defense can really carry you, because the biggest problem, I think we saw it tonight, is it doesn't take many lapses. It takes one lapse in a game. You can play great defensively for 90 minutes. You have one lapse. If you can't score, you have a problem. If you can't score goals with regularity, you have a problem, no matter how good your defense is. Okay, at the very best, you're going to draw. Okay, if you can't score. And at the worst, you have a lapse, you have 2 lapses, which are likely to happen at some point in a 90-minute match, no matter how good you are. And if the opponent take advantage, that's it. You have to find ways to score more frequently. This team does not score enough. They had a 4-0 game on the weekend that I think in many ways still slightly flattered the deceive, to be honest. They were clinical, all of that stuff. Great, phenomenal. Okay. The chance creation still wasn't quite there as much as it could have been.
I think you bring up a great point of, right, people may overlook how far defense can carry you. And again, I've gone on record, and I will double down on it. The way that this club has played over the much of the season, it can work when you are in the playoffs. A good defense when teams are already playing tighter in the playoffs, when teams are already a little bit hesitant to go forward, to expose themselves to make mistakes, you can play horrendous non-free-flowing soccer, get to a 0-0 game, 1-1 game, whatever, and win on penalties. It is gross. You have seen and I'm not saying this is how last season's was, because it was different. There were some shootouts, there were things like that, but you can play some good as in not stylistically good, but you can play winning soccer by that strategy when you are in the playoffs. Over the course of a regular season, no, man, because the margins are too big over those things. It's continue to have been the thing that I've hammered on throughout the season. How can this club improve the margins? When you can't score, when you can't take more than one shot on target, your margins are bad. They're not good, and you saw it again tonight.
This is against a bad team as well. Let's remember that. Now, Rising played a bad team on the weekend and put 4 past them. But here's the thing. When Phoenix Rising won 4-3 in the playoffs, admittedly after extra time, but they scored 3 goals in 90 minutes against San Diego Law. When do you see this team scoring 3 goals against a good team now? I don't mean a San Antonio. I mean a good team. You don't.
No. I got
There's a lot of people, by the way, in the chat bringing out Tomas Angel. I don't think I heard it. I said this yesterday. This is going to be a talking point when you don't get goals, when you are a centre forward. This is the nature of it. He had 2 touches in opposition box today.
1 shot on target in the opposition box, 2 shots overall.
Well, 1 shot one on target, 1 shot in opposition box. He didn't have.
I thought I said that. Excuse me. Yes. One shot inside the box, 2 shots overall. I mean, when we're going to put it this way: when he is essentially tied for your team lead in individual expected goals, and it's 0.24, it's not good. It's not good.
It's not good. It's not good whatsoever.
Not good.
I mean,
hey, I gotta listen. I do have a silver lining for you. Hey, we turn the page. We pay Vegas, who checks notes, are undefeated in their last, are unbeaten in their last 5, have won 3 of their last 5, who have played. Well, I guess to give you a litmus test, have played a lot of the teams that Rising either have recently played or are going to play. Pretty much done well against all of them. So, Owain, this Vegas club hasn't lost since mid-August.
Yeah, no.
Is there hope?
I will say there's one thing that works in Rising's advantage, and that's that this game isn't on the road, because Rising's road form this year is abysmal. Actually, I'd drop you a stat there in the league. Obviously, Rising won away in Loudon. When was their last road win before that in the league? Give me a month. I'll let you pick a month, Max. You'll know the game as soon as I say it. It was Rhode Island. It was Rhode Island.
It was Rhode Island. Oh gosh. Yeah.
So is that 2 away wins all season? Or
in the league?
Don't. To be fair, if you're going to talk about the cup, that one went to extra times. It was a draw.
I almost said Hartford, but nope.
No, that was a 0-0 draw.
I know.
They could have lost that on a
I know. That
last
was a
minute
penalty. Not them. No, that sounds about right. Yeah, listen to Kevo hit the like button. Way to spell, Kev. Nice. Let's see. All right, you know what? I'm going to do this impromptu, and I didn't even think we'd get to this point because, it's kind of a bummer, but we don't have a show till Saturday. Score predictions. Let's go. Vegas. Hit them.
2-0 Vegas.
I feel really foolish. Kyle and I were 1-0 Phoenix Rising. We got doubled up with the wrong club. Yeah, give me I'll go 1-0 Vegas. Yeah, I'll go 1-0 Vegas.
Kyle, if you want to just audio-wise, you can give us some audio here if you want, Kyle. What are you thinking?
Kyle.
We can't hear him. Okay, he's trying.
That's okay. We're going to keep talking until he interrupts us. Here we go. Go on, Matt Path. Okay, Vegas 3-0. Mixed squared 3-1 Vegas. Dominic Pearson 2-1 Vegas. Haven't seen a single Rising win. Okay, Tyler 4-1 Phoenix
Tyler,
Rising.
weren't you talking about how bad this team was like about 5 minutes ago?
The News Bluebird 1-0 Vegas. Smart man. Smart man.
Vegas are good this year, Tyler. This isn't the Vegas of old.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes,
We
sir.
can hear you now.
I'll go 1-0 Rising, especially since I won't be there.
Oh my gosh, Kyle. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's right. We lose. It's because Kyle, everyone. Let's see. BJ 1-1 draw. Own goal gives us the draw. Oh, that's gross. Mama P 2-0 to Vegas. We're a really optimistic bunch, us and the chat, aren't we?
This is terrible. Okay, right. On that note, Max, have you got anything to add? We do need to look at the table. Let's look at the table just for context.
Look at the table. Contest. All right, here we go. In the West, New Mexico. No change there at the top. Okay, again, kind of like we talked about. I mean, again, this was the only match today in the USL Championship. So 2 through 6 is KG, Colorado Springs, Sacramento, Memphis, Las Vegas, and Oakland. 2 through 6 all separated by 5 points. Rising in 7th, but who's that creeping up behind them? Orange County, 1 point behind now. Only 1 point behind. They had a nice little cushion. It gone. Tulsa, San Antonio, and Monterey Bay head out the contenders on the other side of the playoff line. Again, 7 through 11, separated by 6 points. And lest we forget, Phoenix Rising has some very pivotal upcoming matchups against some of those teams in the coming weeks. Owain, again, you kind of said it very well. You can't be looking up at Vegas at 5. Doesn't matter if they're above you. They're 7 points above you. Who cares? You need to win because otherwise you're going to be looking down because other teams, right? Rising had their match that they need to play in hand. Okay, cool. That's done now. They play on Saturday. Vegas, whatever happens, Rising better not be looking down and seeing, oh no, other teams have gained ground. Can't have it. Can't have it.
No, it can't.
Okay, you know what? Okay. I'm gonna get really existential, and I'm so sorry because this is now gonna this is gonna ruin the vibe of not just PHNX Rising, but PHNX overall. More likely to miss the playoffs, Phoenix Rising or the Arizona Diamondbacks. Here we go. And I'm not trying to make this.
You go first.
I'm not trying to make this a D-backs podcast, but I'm like, dude, I got to vent. Gosh, I've been saying Rising for the longest time. I'm so sorry, D-backs, and maybe this is the reverse curse, but I think D-backs lose it. They miss out. BJ saying Rising. Okay, Rising more likely. Okay. What about you, Owen?
I don't know. I really don't know.
You can clip this. By the way, Kyle, if we were to clip this, send it to Derek, Damon. Jesse won't do anything with it, but I don't know, but I think one will. I do think one will. I don't think they both make the playoffs. Things. We can't have nice things. I mean, right? This is what I get for
Max. It's 11 o'clock, right? Let's start wrapping this up, mate.
I know.
Quick look at the fixtures coming up this weekend, though. Before we do.
Yeah, for sure. That's fair. All right. El Paso, North Carolina, Indy, versus Miami, Pittsburgh versus Birmingham, Legion, Louisville versus Memphis, Tampa Bay Rowdies, Hartford, Colorado Springs against Loudoun, San Antonio versus Rhode Island, Monterey Bay versus Detroit, the old Phoenix Rising against Vegas, Oakland versus Tulsa, and Sac Republic against New Mexico. That's a freaking doozy of a match. Goodness gracious.
No Orange County this weekend, by the way.
Yes, good notes. I was going to say very quickly that if Rising do miss out, then that's what I get for telling the D-backs, well, we both made it to our final competition. Only one can win it last year. And that's the karma we'll end on. Appreciate everyone joining us here on the PHNX Rising post-game show. Friendly reminder, you will not see us tomorrow. You will catch the show on Saturday, directly post-game, following Rising's insert result against Las Vegas at home on Saturday evening. Till then, you can follow the show at PHNX__Rising. Drop a like on your way out because double the underscore. Double the head shake, double the let's get out of here. You can follow me on Twitter at Max. Yeah, there's the head. You can follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Owen on Twitter at OJ Evans 18. You can follow Mr. Kyle Cooper behind the Mac, push the buttons, make the memes at K Coop Sports. I appreciate everyone Again, make sure to follow for all the coverage. Join Saturday post game. I don't know if it is a beautiful game. This is miserable. This sucks. It's a horrendously gross, awful game, and it gets even worse when you get one shot on target. There we go. We're leaning in. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.